So our theme for the month it will be and has been power tools. Power tools make all jobs go so much faster than just like hand-held tools, yeah? If only we had some power tools for life. And the good news is we do. We have many power tools to experience a life that is really well lived. Emma Curtis Hopkins, who we're going to be using all month, and so all you Emma Curtis Hopkins people, teacher of teachers, she was known, 1800s, late 1800s to early 1900s, a very new thought. She once said, "We have unlimited power. If we do not use that power, it does not alter the fact that it is our inheritance." Did you know you were in God's will? Yes. So we all have divine inheritance, and that is pure good itself. It's there whether we use it or not. Now, last Sunday we talked about the power of enthusiasm, the recognition of the God within, that divinity within us, and activating, stirring up that power by proclaiming God as expressed as our good. And it's so beautifully explored by Emma Curtis Hopkins in her book, Scientific Christian Mental Practice. And so today our power tool is faith. It's been perfect today. It just keeps coming up and in my face, and it's like, yeah. I love when I get involved with the talks, and then it shows up in my life in like a million different ways. And it's like, that's right. And so it's not only for you, these talks, and for all you people out there, it's for me as well. So it's not just faith, but it's faith rightly placed. Because our faith is either the source of our power or it's the cause of our distress. What do we have faith in? And let me say that again, because it's very, 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 very important. Our faith is either the source of our power or the cause of our distress. I've heard people say, well, I just need more faith, or if I only had enough faith. Those statements are actually quite accurate. They really are. No, they're inaccurate. They really are. They're really inaccurate, because we always, always, always have faith. The question is, in what do we place our faith in? That's the question. Faith is always present. In Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, and this is on page 156, someone has said that the entire world is suffering from one fear. And that fear is that God will not answer our prayers. So let us analyze, he says, the fears which possess us. The fear of lack is nothing more than the belief that God does not and will not supply us with whatever it is that we need. The fear of loss of health, loss of friends, loss of property. All that arise from the belief that God is not all that we claim, which is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So what then, he says, is fear? Nothing more or less than the negative use of faith. Faith misplaced. To correct all the evils of the world would be but to have faith rightly placed. A faith that lays hold of the beneficence of God, the unity of all life, and the integrity of the universe. So let me just say that last part again, because I really like that last part. To correct all the evils of the world would be but to have faith rightly placed. A faith that lays hold of the beneficence of God, the unity of all life, and the integrity of the universe. We all have plenty of faith. In fact, we have an abundance of faith. It's there. There's so much good that's always present, but we have to be open and receptive to allow that good, to allow that faith to move through and as us. We have faith. We also have faith in lack, faith in limitation. You hear it in people's words. Faith in sickness, faith in failure, faith in poverty, and faith in failed relationships. It goes on and on. Well, and we don't need any more of that. That, my friends, is misplaced faith. Because ministers talk a lot about faith in God, and because that is such a big general statement, it really is huge. This morning, I want to get into specifics. I'm going to break it down by looking at three ways which we can place our faith in God. Because the power lies in these ways, and they are faith in the idea that the universe is conspiring for my good, one of my favorites. The universe, which is God, is conspiring for my very highest and best good. The second, faith in the workings of the law. Most of us know God is love and law. This divine energy, it is the thought, it is the source, it is the cause, and the law, the divine law, just carries it out and brings it forth into our lives. And then the third one would be faith in ourselves. So first, the faith in the idea that the universe is conspiring for my highest good. Don't you love that? I love that so much. I do. To know that there is, when I've been in some of the worst times in my life, and I don't know what to do, and that fear strikes us, strikes me, and I say, the universe is always supporting me, and it always does. It doesn't fail, because faith, rightly placed, will bring about the results that we desire. Ernest Holmes said, there is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. There's an infinite source of power, and we all can use it. Nobody told us, so I'm telling us now. We can use it, this power for good. It's available all the time. Emma Curtis Hopkins wrote, people often know the promised passages of the Bible by heart, but when trouble strikes them, they have no confidence in them as absolute truth. Just once holding on to them when you are in trouble will give you a good start in faith. Holding on to the great principles set forth in Scripture while you are in trouble will invigorate your character marvelously, she says. It is the very mystery of goodness. How sure people are to come out right, who have strong, honest confidence that they will come out right. What we believe in is what we are manifesting. It is really quite that difficult and quite that simple. Quite that simple. What we are thinking and feeling are what we are creating in our lives. And that is faith placed rightly. So say this after me. The universe is conspiring for my good.
The universe is conspiring for my good.
And so it is. Yes. Yes. And just say that's a great affirmation to hold. So Hopkins also wrote, God is life. Thus, we are to have confidence in life as the outcome. Life will win. We must be firm on this point. She was a very firm woman. God is truth. We must believe that the truth about the good will always act. We must be sure of it. Moses said, be firm. Paul said, stand. Jesus said, thy faith hath made thee well. How deep is our faith? Beyond conditions, or are we caught up in the actually I have to say muck and mire of the conditions, and we feed into them? Because this is a condition-based world that we seem to live in. Faith rightly placed is the faith that says there is a powerful good in the universe. A powerful good in the universe, and you can use it. Ernest Holmes had a radio show in the 40s, and he opened it with that. There is a powerful good in the universe, and you can use it. It's moving away from that belief in duality. We say we don't believe in duality. That's God and anything else. Since there is only, we use the word God, energy, whatever you want to call it, this infinite energy, that's all there is. There is nothing outside of it. Reverend Johnny Coleman, she was an amazing teacher, speaker, minister. She preached this one message for many, many years. God's desire is for everyone, and it is absolute good. She truly believed that, and this is her story. Her own healing journey began when she was diagnosed with an incurable disease in the early 1950s and decided to change her own prognosis from 6 months to live to a long lifetime. And she did this by turning away from the condition and toward the idea that God's desire for her was absolute good, always absolute good, which included a long and healthy life, which she did have. She passed away a couple of years ago. And she once wrote this: God knows, I love this, listen to this, everyone, because we're all about this age. So listen to this. God knows nothing of arthritis, diabetes, cancer, tuberculosis, or AIDS. Resolve this moment to pray for the elimination of these illusions from the minds of men and women, thus eliminating them from the bodies of all humankind. And it's like, what are we? Yes, these things can exist. You get diagnoses all the time. But what are we feeding into that diagnosis so heavily that we'll do anything that the doctor tells us to do? Not the doctors are not good. Doctors are good. But seriously, there is a powerful good that is conspiring for our highest good. Are we listening to that as well? Are we healing ourselves? So many people have healed themselves. I think of, we just got back from Unity Village, and I think of Myrtle Fillmore, who was told she was going to die. And in this little living room of this little house, which is still standing on these hundreds of acres of Unity Village, it's huge, she cured herself through her thoughts, through her belief and faith in her interpretation of the Bible. Unity is New Thought. We are New Thought. So it's a little bit different take, but the same thing. And she built an incredible spirituality, religion. She built it all from the living room of her house, as did many of the New Thought people who were a lot. It used to be, and it wasn't that long ago, folks, that there weren't really, there wasn't medicines. There weren't the doctors. You went to healers. You remember when the guy came through town and you felt really good after he dropped off this medicine, which was cocaine, and you felt so good for, well, what, a week? And then the whole thing came back. But there were healers, and then there were spiritual healers that really came into play. And that's who people went to for their, and people still do today, for their healing. So an eccentric philosophy professor gave a one-question final exam after a semester of dealing with a broad array of topics. The class was already seated, ready to go, when the professor picked up his chair and plopped it on the desk in front of him. And he said to them, using everything that we have learned this semester, prove that this chair does not exist. Fingers flew, erasers erased, notebooks were filled with like 30 pages in an hour. Some students were just so into it, and they were attempting to refute the existence of the chair. One member of the class, however, was up and finished in less than 1 minute. Weeks later, when the grades were posted, the rest of the group wondered how he could have gotten an A when he finished this in like less than a minute. And it consisted of 2 words, his answer: what chair? So, very existential.
Great.
But what arthritis? What diabetes? What cancer? What ailment in my spine that doctors have been diagnosing for over a decade? Which one? I'm standing here in front of you. I'm moving. What is our faith placed in? And it goes on in every aspect of our lives. We often struggle trying to find all the reasons that we have for our fear, our sickness. And in spiritual truth, it does not exist. Now hear what I said. In the human reality, we acknowledge there are illnesses. Okay? People have illnesses. But in the spiritual realm, there is no illness. In the divine energy, there is no sickness. There is nothing unlike his own perfection. That is all that exists. And Ernest Holmes tells us, this is page 33 of the Science of Mind book, when we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. We must learn to come under that divine government and accept the fact that nature's table is ever filled. Never was there a cosmic famine. God is always God. No matter what our emotional storm or our objective situation may be, there's always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is the eternal voice forever whispering in our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. This is the thing itself. So that thing is that divine energy, and it's within each and every one of us, and there's no sickness there. It doesn't exist. How often, after we get a diagnosis or anything, or a relationship fails, whatever it is, do we not turn within and say, there is that within me where there is no failure. There is that within me which cannot be sick, which cannot be exterminated from a job, which cannot, you fill in the blanks. That's our power tool, right there within each and every one of us. Faith, rightly placed, is the knowing of the spiritual substance that is all around us, waiting to be formed. And that is what Jesus meant when he said, and I say unto you, ask and it shall be given unto you. Ask, how specific are we? Brings us to number 2. If the good were not already ours in the invisible supply, it would be impossible to procure it in any manner. We wouldn't be able to. It's already present. Faith in the workings of the law, divine law. At James 5:15, we are given a powerful message about faith. And it says, and the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. What is the prayer of faith? Jesus clearly taught that spiritual power works through us at the level of our belief. What are we believing? What are we speaking? What are we thinking? He was implying it is done unto us as we believe by some impersonal principle. Principle means law. A principle which knows how to use it, but also knows only its own ability to do. And it will do as quickly for one as for another. The law is no respecter of persons. but works alike for all. There is an invisible law that is the doer. When we have the law of attraction, two of them over there, and me, when we teach the law of attraction, we're speaking about this substance that only knows how to give back what is put into it. What are we thinking, and what are we feeling, and what are we speaking, and what are we doing? That is all creating what we are going to experience. Faith is an affirmative way of using the law, this energy, this force, this substance. And Holmes speaks to it again in The Science of Mind when he writes, the law is absolute, and we should trust its impersonal action implicitly. It can do anything for us that we can conceive of doing. Anything that is amazing. When I look back at using these, and I'm sure a lot of you, using these principles in our lives, and in situations that look like, I have no idea what's going to happen here. No idea. And it's like, but there is a source of good that created all that is, that knows exactly what my highest good is. And so just be open, be receptive, be ready, because it's going to guide us. And then we must pay attention and follow the guidance. That is the power that is available to us all of the time. But sadly, we don't use it productively as often as we could. Most people don't even know it's even possible or part of their lives, when to us in this teaching it's everything. Most people do not offer deliberate thought. Instead, they let their thoughts drift to whatever is happening around them. So when was the last time you used affirmative prayer, or simply an affirmation, or simply asked the universe, because it's all the same thing, for help with a project? In a difficult situation, we forget sometimes, in a difficult situation, at home or with a friend. The more we turn to Source for daily assistance, for guidance, the more in tune with the universal good we will be. It goes to say the practice makes perfect. So how are we using this force that is waiting for us to use it, our power tool? And how deep is our faith? Page 458 of The Science of Mind, large bold letters, Ernest Holmes wrote, the things that we need are to be asked for, and we are to believe that we receive them. No, and Ernest Holmes talks about that. Be specific in what you ask for. Be specific, but do not outline. I can't say that enough, because we want to fill in the blanks. We want to fill it all in because we think we know. Oh my God, it always outpictures anything that we could ever imagine. But first we have to know, what is it that I want? What is it that you truly want to experience, to feel? What is it? And then the law responds to that. We're surrounded, we're immersed in a creative force, and it moves from thought to a thing. And I have to put emotion on there. Unless there's an image first, it cannot work. It's just there. It's like the law of electricity, it's always present. But for us to use it, we must be specific in what it is we desire. Faith rightly placed is a belief that this law is operating on our word. It's easy when everything's going good, but when things aren't going so well, do we go to prayer? Do we go to affirmation? Do we go to, there is a source in this universe for my good? And that brings us into faith in ourselves. Faith rightly placed is faith in ourselves. You have the power. Oh, this is so good. This section is so good. This is the powerful. This is the empowering section. You have the power to create life-giving experiences. This is not only your life, this is life living through you. This is God living through you. Now, why is it such a wonderful and such an important thing? When will you get that? When will you get that you are extensions of source energy? We are each one created out of this energy, each and every one of us. Why would we have less power than the divine energy itself that created us? It would be impossible. Doesn't even make sense. You are an individualized expression of God itself. And you have come into this experience, this physical body, as a leading edge. And hear that. The leading edge extension of source energy, another name for God. To quote Abraham, if you will, Abraham is the Jerry, and that's the Hicks work. You are further most focused on this energy that creates worlds. You are a creative genius. Take that in. You are a creative genius. You have access to all of this energy. So act as if. We've heard that lots of times, but it works. It's true. Act as if it's already present, because it will be. You're creating. We are creative beings. We are always creating out of our own consciousness, our own thought process. So act as if it's already taking place. Taking a leap doesn't mean you must, does mean that you must move. Move confidently in the direction of your dreams, because faith without works is dead. We've heard that. And it's true. We get the message, we get the guidance. Are we listening to it? Are we moving with it? You will know, your intuition will let you know. And in the words of Meister Eckhart, a 12th century mystic in the the 1200s, he wrote, "There is nothing else a man can do that is so beautiful as to put complete trust in God. God never failed anyone who trusted him greatly, but rather through him, God does great things." That divine essence, and it doesn't have to, there's no gender in God. So, that's from the 12th century. They put gender in everything. So, I'm not even going to get into my workshop yesterday, but gender is a construct, I'll say that much. So, listen to that workshop, it was amazing. But anyway, I asked this morning, does your faith move mountains, or do mountains move your faith? How much power are you giving to conditions? Are they ruling your life, or are you ruling your conditions? And I put that in parentheses. And it's not that the power of your faith that moves mountains, but it's the faith in the power of God as expressed through the universe conspiring for your good, the absolute workings of the law, and you as an expression of the divine. And I'm going to leave you with this very short poem. I might put this in the newsletter next week. Make sure you open your newsletters. I can see who opens it and who doesn't. I can't. Anyway, use this poem to remind you of your power tools of faith rightly praised. Okay. Doubt sees obstacles. Faith sees the way. Doubt sees the darkest night. Faith sees the day. Doubt dreads to take a step. Faith soars on high. Doubt questions who believe. Faith answers, I. And so just take that breath in, and I say, and so it is, and it is so.